There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? They're here.
Welcome to the Horror Cut.
Hello guys, welcome to the Horror Cut. I'm Gary.
And I'm Steg. Still.
Steg. Today we have a special guest. Hello Emma.
Hi, yeah, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for coming on to the Horror Cut. Have you been listening to many of our episodes?
I have. I've been listening for a wee while now, actually, and I'm a big fan, and I'm desperate to get along to one of the secret screenings. So I'm hoping to get along to one soon because I believe there's some guests that I know that are coming on very soon. So I want to come and rep them.
Yes, and yeah, that's our final Girls Takeover, which is happening on Sunday, the 30th of August.
Oh yeah.
In the West Brewery, not the old hairdressers for this one. But Emma, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do and your kind of love of horror and where it spawned from?
Yeah, so I host The Horror and Her, which is a feminist horror podcast that centres on women, non-binary and femme-presenting voices and their relationship with the genre. We normally kick it off with their the one that did it for them, their horror origin or their origin story, and then we then kind of discuss the genre and how it speaks to them. You know, things like power, identity, gender, and how that kind of translates into their lives and how they've kind of evolved with that. I also host or co-host at the movies in the 90s because I am that eternal kind of nostalgia person for the 90s. Like I'm still wearing my my 3-stripe tracky top and and wanting to be a Spice Girl. So so yeah. I mean I've loved horror for as long as I can remember. It's definitely been just kind of woven into my life, but I would say that I really kind of embraced it once I was a wee bit older, probably like properly going full into it, having my kids and becoming a bit older and kind of saying to them, you know, to be authentically who they are and not suppress anything about who they are. And I thought I'm just being an absolute hypocrite if I don't kind of embrace that myself. So that has been the kind of the origin of The Horror and Her, and my kind of going full balls to the wall spookiness rather than kind of pushing that down because I thought people would think I was a weirdo. But you know what? It really doesn't matter if people think I'm a weirdo.
I think a lot of horror fans feel that way, and it's a real shame actually. Even, you know, like I write a lot of horror, and even people in the film industry, like I was on a shoot. One of the producers on the shoot was like slagging me because all I'm interested in their eyes is horror movies, and he thinks it's like just this daft genre. And so even like in a modern sense, people are still kind of thinking like that, which is crazy. But what I want to ask really quickly then is, what is your favourite 90s film and your favourite 90s horror? Because it's a weird time for horror films in the 90s.
Oh gosh, I love Candyman. I think Candyman is pretty perfect. Obviously Scream. I mean, you just can't talk about the 90s without Scream. But I would say that yeah, Candyman for me. I was on a podcast recently where we were kind of having to pit 90s films against each other, and Candyman won over Silence of the Lambs. So I was taking that as a complete like victory on my part. My favourite 90s film, oh my God, there's so many. Now, of course, I have absolutely copped a blank. Um,
That's fine. We can come back around.
I'm surprised Gary never said anything about the Silence of the Lambs there.
Yeah, because that is my favourite horror thriller film, but Candyman terrified me as a child. So,
yep.
you know, I've got so much respect for both of them. But I think Silence of the Lambs is like a perfect film, whereas
It is.
Candyman just terrified me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I could put Silence of the Lambs on and just like have it on in the background.
Mm.
And I spoke about it on At the Movies in the 90s the other week. Yeah, we were just talking about just how bloody perfect it is. Like there's nothing really. There's some kind of clunky representation, of course. There's no denying that at all.
Yeah.
But that aside, it is, it's pretty perfect.
And with the clunky representation, you know, I think even with that it might get it wrong, but it's still kind of trying to say something about kind of society, and
Definitely.
this person who we're talking about feels misrepresented, or and society doesn't help, and almost that's like almost part of who they become. But that is a whole other film that we could discuss in a different episode.
Well, I'm just that's me just trying to like shoot my shot and be like, right, boys, if you wrote me on again.
But we are moving from the 90s to the 80s, 1980 to be exact, because we are discussing The Fog. And this was Stephen's choice, but it was Stephen's choice to do at the Secret Cinema, but we unfortunately had to cancel that, and Emma was devastated because we put out the hints, so she had worked out exactly what the film was. And when we cancelled, I said to Emma, do you want to come on and do it? And we'll just do it kind of over Zoom. So, Emma, what's your history with John Carpenter's The Fog?
Oh my God, I love this film. It is just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I remember seeing it now. I'm really, really aging myself here. I remember seeing it on, now I think it was either BBC One or BBC Two. Now I don't remember if you can remember I don't remember if you can remember. Cut that, sorry. I'll try to start again. I don't know if either of you remember Dr. Terror's, was it House of Horrors? And it was this really camp latex masked actor who used to introduce the films, and he always had like all these puns, almost like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Crypt Keeper.
But really camp. There was footage of him going on the ghost train in Blackpool and being on like these chaeroplane things at Blackpool and announcing The Fog.
Okay.
And I remember being really creeped out by him. But because I'd taped The Fog, that was on before it. So I always have the two of them together. I'll send you a link to him after. And so that was the first time I saw that. So that would have been in the early 90s. So I would have been like an early teen, something like that. And I just loved it. And then I remember seeing it at a sleepover as well. And one of my friends, her being into it, nobody else being into it, and me being the typical kind of person that I was, wanted to kind of live and breathe it and chat about it, but she didn't. So, I mean, I must watch this film monthly.
Really?
Like, that is how much I love that. But I will kick the arse out of anything I love. Like, I think it's weird that people don't watch Halloween every week. Like, what are they doing? Why are they not? Why are they not working from home and they've got like The Fog on in the background? It's just like, it's white noise to me. It's soothing. So that's my history. I love it. I could live and breathe this film.
I think there is something really soothing about it. Like, it's not that it's boring, but it's one of those ones you could put on to go to sleep at night. There is with the waves and there's an atmosphere to it.
Stevie Wayne's voice just lulling you to sleep.
Totally. Emma, did you watch this for the podcast then, or did you not need to?
I only watched it the other week, so I didn't need to.
Oh, great, great. Stephen, what about yourself? What was it like the first time you seen this film and your most recent watch?
I'd have watched this, I don't know, when... I'm trying to think. 'Cause I'm really thinking about Emma's Doctor Terror's House of Horrors. I'm trying to remember if I ever saw maybe the same one that you saw. So I remember watching it in my bedroom, when I was maybe 9 or 10, and I had a little tiny TV that was ancient, that was, probably for the 70s or something. And I just remember being like really, really creeped out by it. The killing, the first killing on the boat when Dick and that get it, that was like just like terrifying. You were watching that going, what the fuck is this? And then just throughout the years, it has just kind of stuck with me. Like I was saying, it's cozy, it's inviting, and you just, when you think about it, I don't really think about it now as being terrifying. I just think about it as being a vibe, if that's even the best word for it. And I watched it. I picked up the 4K a few months ago. Watched it. I think that's when I probably first suggested we do it on the Secret Cinema, and then watched it again last night. And yeah, I still think I'm with them, and this. I think it's brilliant. I get there's a few people can kind of nag on different aspects of it, and that's fine. But I think watching it, it kind of goes into that territory of being like a calming experience rather than an all-out horror film.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, Dick Baxter, what a name!
Dick Baxter, I know.
Yeah, that stuck with me. So my history with this film is a little bit different. I'm quite a big Halloween fan. I would say I'm a pretty big John Carpenter fan, but this film, kind of as a child when I was growing up watching a lot of 80s horrors, it kind of skipped past me, this one. So I came to this film probably just before COVID, so about maybe 2019, 2018.
Ooh.
And I had seen the remake first, and we can get your thoughts on the remake maybe towards the end of the episode.
I don't know what you speak of.
Yeah, utter shite. That's how we'll sum it up.
I think it does some interesting things, but
For the remake?
Yeah, but to go to the original, when I watched it about 2018, 2019, I didn't really enjoy it that much, I'll be honest, but I think I wasn't paying enough attention to it. It was kind of, as Emma said, it was kind of on in the background, maybe. Maybe I lifted my phone up. So I watched it again when we were going to do the Secret Cinema, and I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I still was like, this isn't hitting me, and I don't know why. And then just because I had time when I was working today, I'm not going to mention where I was working, but I was working and I just put it on in the background and watched it again today, and I enjoyed it so much better. Like,
that's interesting.
I think maybe the first time I didn't pay attention. The second time I still didn't really get the backstory of why, the people were coming from the sea and attacking it. I knew there was something there, but I couldn't really get my hands on why they were doing it. I'm now stumbling. I couldn't really get my head around why they were attacking it, and then it became more clearly third time. I don't know what that says about me, if I'm just stupid or not, but yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more this time, and I think the atmosphere really works for this film, but so do the characters. Like, I really like the characters, all in their unique, because it's kind of an ensemble. It's almost like mini short films, and then they all meet at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's maybe why, talking about the backstory, because it's not overlapping through all those stories with all those characters, you find out about it kind of close to the start, and then you kind of just forget about it, and then it's almost when they meet at the end that Hal Halbrook's Father Malone's like, well, actually, this is what happened, blah, 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 this is why it's happening, and then you're like, oh, that's right, that's why this is happening. Because there are little cues about, the number 6. They came back to claim 6 lives, and I think it's Dick Baxter's death when he goes for Jamie Lee, when he's walking towards him and he's been reanimated, and he writes a 3 on the floor. You could miss that,
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
anytime I watch it, I'm like, what is that? Is that just a squiggle? And then I'm like, oh, it's the number 3. Right, okay,
I missed
3.
it.
I don't blame you for missing it. I think I only clicked last night and I was like, that's a number 3. Oh, okay, that's 3 out of 6. Got it. That I don't think that narrative's going all the way through the film because all the characters are
Mhm.
little stories and it's all kind of intermingling. It's yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, Emma, when we have a guest on, we try and get them to give us the synopsis of the film in 30 seconds. Are you up for it?
I'll give it a good try. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, when you're ready.
Okay. The small town of Antonio Bay is celebrating its centenary. But as that's about, or before that's about to happen, a fog is rolling around the island where the inhabitants of an old ship are coming back to claim what's rightfully theirs.
25 seconds, well done. Cheers.
That was pretty good, and that was so clear and just calm. Whereas when me and Gary do it, it's like
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not. I've heard and it's not. It's not at all.
Some of them are okay, some of them are a disaster.
John Carpenter's The Fog.
This is KAB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unknown came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Oh, Jesus.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unnatural came out of the fog. Now it has returned. 100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something evil came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Who's there?
Emma, would you like to go first with your first positive point on the film?
Yeah, so mine is kind of linking in to the kind of spine of my podcast and my interest in horror is that the women are the ones in this film who are this network of information. We've got Stevie basically saving everybody. We've got Elizabeth, who is very kind of on it. She's making sure that they're rescuing the little boy, little Andy. We've got the two women who have uncovered this secret from Father Malone, and initially they kind of poo-poo it, but actually they understand they've got to get to the church. So yeah, I love how the women are just so capable in this film. You know, they're not your typical scream and run type type characters, which could be seen in the 80s with most films that you looked at. You know, we've got Stevie broadcasting, we've got Kathy and Sandy, they are organising, they're getting on it, and we've got Elizabeth, who she's just quietly observing everything that's happening, but is also proactive. She investigates. And I feel like the women in this film are the ones that are holding it together when the mess of the men's past comes back to haunt them, literally.
Yeah, you're right, because even the father, like, he finds the book with all the, or the diary, we maybe want to call it, and he decides just to get drunk. Like, he doesn't leave well, I think he's drunk by the end. He just doesn't leave, because we see him have some red wine when it happens, and then we never see him literally leave the church. But he's got all this information, and he's no agency with it. You know, he almost explains it to these two women, who then, maybe disregard it at first, but then when shit goes down, they realise what's causing it, and they do take agency. And I don't think really anyone runs away, because you could look at this as almost like a slasher film. You could almost look at it almost like a zombie film as well, or you can look at it as a supernatural film. There's so many kind of subgenre concepts in this, but you don't have that, as you said, scream and run. It almost even cuts away. So, there's the point where Dick falls on Elizabeth. Yep, I did mean it like that. But Dick Baxter's body falls on Elizabeth, and it kind of cuts away. You don't see her like run or be saved because it's not needed. We understand what's happened after that. Then it's them two. It's Nick and Elizabeth just talking about, did you see his eyes and things like that. So yeah, no, I totally agree. And what about Nick and Elizabeth's relationship? What do we think of that? I mean, it happens quite fast. And do we like these characters? What's your thoughts?
I think fast is an understatement. You know, he picks her up, and then like a minute later, they're just lying in bed together.
I think I'd be like that with Tom Atkins, though.
I know, me as well, actually. So would I probably.
I've got a really exciting story, if I'm allowed to tell.
Absolutely.
So a friend of mine was over in, now God, that's terrible, I can't remember where it was. She was over in the States just last week at one of the cons there, and was going to be meeting Tom Atkins. And she said, is there anything that you want? And I'd said, well, if you could get me any picture of either The Fog or Creepshow, because I love him in both. And if there's anything, you know, and she'd said, is there any quotes? And I was like, well, if it's a Creepshow picture, get him to write, that's why God made Father's Babe. But if it's The Fog, get him to write, yes, I am weird, like Elizabeth asks him. And he did. And I've got a picture of him saying to Emma, yes, I am weird. Love, Tom.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I am buzzing off my tits about this. That all right to say? I should have checked. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's amazing. And I've actually got a note on those lines because I think it is funny. I think she's like, are you a weirdo or are you weird? And he's like, yes, I am weird. And then she's like, great. The last guy was so nice.
Off.
It was disgusting. And
you wanted to marry me or something?
Yeah. But what's great about it is, as soon as they two meet, there is banter and it feels genuine. So when we and it's a great scare actually, because she gets in the car, they're bantering about being weird and picking up hitchhikers. But also, I think the film makes you kind of think, is Elizabeth could she be a baddie or something? Because she kind of lies about this is her first time getting picked up, and then he calls her out in it. So you're like, I don't know if I quite trust her. And while you're thinking that, and there's banter, we get the scare from the smash of the window, right?
Yeah.
And it works really well because there's no music, there's no build up to it. Almost you're having a great time with these characters, and then the scare happens. And then we just cut back to them at the next time, and she's basically naked with the covers over her breasts, and they're just having like a bit of like flirtation with her sketches, is it like drawings?
Yeah.
So I think that gets us into their relationship really quickly, using banter, a scare, and that kind of untrustworthiness that you maybe feel with her, I think is because she played the nice girl in Halloween. So they're almost trying to maybe pull away a little bit from that. And she's not quite a bad boy or anything like that, but she's a bit more of a rebel. She's rebellious, you know. She meets this guy, it's clear they slept together, where she was like, you know, the final girl virgin in Halloween. So they're changing up that trope because they know they've cast her again, I think.
I loved as well, it was so casual as well. It wasn't making a big performance of her kind of ending up with this guy. It was just like, yeah, that's just the natural thing that happened. And I just think it's an absolute kind of baller line from her when he's like, oh great, you know, you're my 13th ride, so one, like wink wink, and then he sort of says, oh great, weird and unlucky, and she just kind of looks at him and she's like, we'll see, as he hands her like a warm Budweiser. That is not, I mean, Tom Atkins could seduce me. I would have second thoughts if he handed me a warm Budweiser. Yuck.
I was just going to say, on regards to like Jamie Lee obviously ran the film after Halloween. It's interesting to see her in that role, like you kind of said, from what she played in Halloween. And I don't know if there must have been. Do you think there would have been any sort of suggestion or like? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, could Adrienne Barbow's character played that character, and could Jamie Lee have played Stevie? Would that have been more akin to what Jamie Lee was used to, or the audience would have recognised her a bit more playing that character.
I think it'd
Well, she's a
be
mum, isn't she? So that would maybe be, she's still quite young, I guess.
Yeah.
And when she made this.
So she was, yes. It was only what, 2 years after Halloween?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, I suppose I actually forgot about Andy there for a second.
So it's all right, so did Stevie.
Yeah, what's that all about? Yeah, I know. She did.
Stevie's great though. We kind of mentioned it at the start, but like her voice is so warm and soothing, and I think that also puts us under this like false sense of security throughout the film. But yeah, talking about her, forgetting about her son, I don't quite understand why she has to stay at the lighthouse and not help her son, because yes, there's this weird fog like moving in, but I I don't see how she's kind of worked out that the fog is killing people. Like obviously she's directing where the fog is coming from, and the people on the island know that it's bringing out these kind of evil people from the sea, but she's not actually witnessed that until the very end. Because there's the bit where Dan's on the phone to her, and he says, "Oh, there's someone outside with a light in the mist." So it could just be like a random serial killer is like using the fog to stay hidden or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I've only watched it 3 times. Emma, you've watched it 52 times in a year, so
So there's like, she does talk about when she's on the phone to Dan right at the beginning, and she says, I've got my compass is blowing due east. Now, what kind of fog goes against the wind?
Yep.
So she's already starting to piece little bits of this isn't quite right, and then the thing that's come up that's been washed up on the beach that like goes into flames, and then sort of talks about there being a noose round the neck and all that stuff. So I think she's just, you're absolutely right. I don't think she appreciates that there's murders happening, but I think she knows there is something absolutely not right with the fog, and she sees the way it kind of moves and the way it's closing in, and then because of her position in the lighthouse, she's able to kind of direct, and she sort of says that to I'm if you can hear me, Andy, I'm so sorry I didn't come. I had to stay here and get people to safety. But yeah, he does feel like a wee bit of an afterthought.
Yeah. And I think the audience might be a little bit more forgiving, but it's when she reaches out to Andy over the radio, that's when I was like, yeah, she's not really went to check on her lad. Like if she didn't make that broadcast, maybe I would have just let it like slide past me almost. But it's because they make such a point on it that she's not leaving to save her son. I was like, yeah, that is slightly strange.
He's been left in the capable hands of Mrs. Kovac, is it?
Yeah.
Kovac?
Like, just don't answer the door. What are you doing?
I know. And her death is quite sad. I mean, I think it's interesting. You hear the sort of the stabbing sounds over the because she gets dragged into the fog. You don't really see it, but it's still quite effective. And I think that's what the film does a lot. Is a lot of the things you don't see are quite effective, which is in a lot of horror films, obviously.
I tried to catch fog the other day, but I missed.
Oh no!
I know we can't talk about the fog, and I can't not crack that joke. So I apologize.
That's a good one.
I was just going to say, can we talk a little bit about kind of John Carpenter and his kind of, I guess, style of direction, but also like working with like at this point a collaborative team as well, because it does very much feel like it's the same like cast and crew as Halloween. So you've got obviously John Carpenter directing. It's a Deborah Hill production. She is also co-writer, which I think doesn't get enough shout out about.
Yeah, totally.
It's got Jamie Lee Curtis, Nancy Keys, who obviously played Annie. You've got obviously Tom Atkins, who's also in Halloween 3, but obviously that's a bit different. Charles Cypher, who was Sheriff Brackett, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So you've kind of got this kind of mix of cast and crew coming back. And for me, watching Halloween and then watching this film, it's like Carpenter's moved from the suburbs to the coast, but he's still kind of making us feel uneasy about these like quaint little quiet places that should feel safe. But that's where we find the danger, and he's almost kind of switching from like this one man slasher monster to this kind of supernatural ghost story. It's kind of like a haunted house movie, but the haunted house is the haunted coast. And I feel like this film as well, we all talk about the atmosphere and it feeling like cozy and warm, even though it's a horror film. A lot of this also reminded me of watching Jaws. I feel like there's this kind of same sort of feel to both films, even to the point when they're doing the autopsy on Baxter feels very much like when Hooper comes in and does the autopsy on, is it Cassie at the start of Jaws?
Chrissy.
Chrissy, yeah. So I feel like, it's got that same sort of atmosphere as Halloween, but he's just changed to the seaside a little bit and changed it from the slasher to this supernatural entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, kind of this, like Michael Myers, the fog is inevitable. It's not stopping. As soon as nighttime rolls around, it's hitting the shore and it's coming ashore, and it's just nothing is stopping that at all. It's completely relentless. But I loved what you said earlier about just the vibe of it, and I think that's something that I think about with Carpenter such a lot, is that Carpenter is there for the vibes, and he's one of those filmmakers who just gets that. And it can just be something as simple as, as him showing us the streets of Haddonfield with the leaves kind of floating, and straight away we know we're in autumn. I know we've got the title card that says Halloween, but if that hadn't been there, you would know straight away. And in this town, we see, we see that beautiful drive that she has from her beach house to the lighthouse. So we already know the geography of where she is. She's miles out of town, but she's in the perfect position. And I just think he's so perfect at telling us that stuff, or showing us that stuff without telling us anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of those shots, the shots where it's the sort of still shots of like the gas station or like different parts of the town, I think, from what I know, they were all sort of added later on after production had wrapped, because they edited it together and they realised it was some things that were missing from it. They had to kind of give us more of the layout of the town, to show us what's going to happen to it towards the end and things. And I think you're right what you're saying regarding. He is a total master of taking everyday places like the suburbs, like a coastal town, and making it eerie and sinister.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even those daytime shots that you're talking about, where we see the drive, etc., like they're so bright and like saturated that there is this feeling of safeness during the day, which then
Totally.
when it goes to night, it feels like the danger's coming even before we see the fog. And again, just to give some comparisons, like those scenes of the red car going along the coast and stuff reminded me of like Sheriff Brody and Jaws, like at the start to give you the layout of
Yeah.
that land as well.
Yeah.
When he's driving
Mm-hmm.
to get the beach closed signs or to go on the ferry, etc. It's very similar as well. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think the directing style in this is done really well. And Stephen, you kind of alluded to it earlier. Like most of the kills are actually off screen or in the fog, so it's not as if it's going for like the kind of blood and guts or that. There's actually, you see more in Halloween than you do in this, I would say. Dan is probably the one that you see the most, other than the fisherman at the start.
Yeah, I think the fisherman that starts probably the most, isn't it?
With the eye kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is interesting because the later ones aren't. It's interesting to start more graphic and then end up not so
yeah.
graphic. That's an interesting choice as well.
But I think
Um,
that might be because like the ones at the start, we don't really care about those characters so much because that's the first time we meet them.
yeah,
Whereas we've got to know the person looking after Andy, and there's a child there, so he's actually being kind of a thoughtful director, you know, like he's almost killing the ones that we care about off screen, so as that we're sad that they're taken, but we're not like feeling vile about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting that, actually, yeah. My first point was kind of on Stevie, on Adrian Barber's character, and it's like, again, I only kind of realised this in maybe the watch that I watched maybe a few months ago, and the small town setting, and I don't know about you guys, but anytime I go to like the coast, well, I'm living in the coast now, I do when I'm out there looking at rocks and like the sea and stuff. You think about fishermen and you think about small coastal towns and the community and things like that, compared to what we have nowadays, where we don't really have much communities in terms of small town communities. Where we've got a sort of loneliness epidemic through the way we live, our phones, etc., etc.
And that we're on just
now. And I think it's just like so warm and comforting to see all these people, especially at the start when you're getting introduced to them, they're all listening more or less to Stevie. And it's just her voice coming through. And it's just it's warm and it's comforting, and it really makes you it makes me kind of yearn for that sort of simple existence. Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Definitely. I mean, we've mentioned Jaws and talking about this. My dream is still to live in a seaside town, and I think it is because Jaws is my absolute all-time favorite film. And this, it's just those beautiful whitewashed houses. There's just this. And maybe it's because, if we're ever in those places, we're on a day out or we're on holiday, that kind of thing. So you've automatically got that lovely association with it. But yeah, the dream is to live in that kind of little seaside town. But I'm a miserable cow, so I maybe would be better in the lighthouse away from everybody.
It's funny talking about Jaws and the lighthouse and Stevie, because for some reason every time it cut to the lighthouse, I thought about the kind of radio weather reporter in Deep Blue Sea.
Oh God!
I don't know why, but I kept thinking about that as well, and I was like, I'm not going to spoil how that person gets taken out, actually, for those that haven't seen Deep Blue Sea. But
I think I remember how that happened. Okay.
My next point was more about the kind of the town, but the town being built on a lie. So, we are talking about it being this gorgeous kind of idyllic little setting, but actually it's built on the lie of kind of these people were betrayed for their money, and the people who did it were, they thought they were doing it for the greater good, and we hear that in the diary, and they do that kind of moral relativism of, yes, it's 6 people died, but actually we can save a whole township and we can build a future and blah blah blah. But actually it's congratulating itself on its 100 years. But it's totally sanitized where it's come from. They deliberately lured Blake and the Elizabeth Dane onto those rocks, and those people were already suffering. Those were people who were in absolute distress because of leprosy, and all they wanted was some peace and a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And the town is built on murder. And the Blake and his men arrive and they're saying, no, we haven't disappeared. This is us coming back, and we're going to take our vengeance.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I would say, even in today's world, there's so much done that is in the name of the greater good. Obviously Hot Fuzz takes the piss out of that a little bit with the whole the greater good. But I actually think, there's they're believing their own lie. I don't think there even was a greater good. It was like, basically, these people are coming with disease, so we're going to basically slaughter them and steal and steal their worth, basically. And then we'll cover it up by saying we did it for the greater good. And I think that's why, when they find the diary, that's why there's guilt in that, because one of them didn't feel like that, but couldn't speak up, or didn't feel like they could speak up. That's what I took from it anyway. And I think there is something kind of sad about that as well, because there's so many horror movies, but so many movies where something is built on a lie or built on killings, etc. How many films it's like, oh, this hotel or this house was built in an ancient burial ground where probably people were murdered before they built on top of it, or moved out or shoved away, or things like that. And I think this film is kind of maybe speaking about like America's past, and it's kind of a little bit subtle, but I think it's saying a lot with that subtlety if you look into it. Yeah.
Definitely, and ahead of its time, really. Sort of actually reparations don't always kind of make things right. We see that at the very end, where Father Malone thinks he's put it to bed by giving the gold back, but actually, no, these people were murdered, and they want their pound of flesh, really.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything in that Father Malone maybe doesn't think it's went to bed? Do you think he's maybe... I don't know, I just thought about this earlier last night when I was watching. I was like, I wonder if he truly believes that it's over, or if he's...
There's a resignation, isn't there, at the end, when you see his shoulders kind of be like, come on then.
Yeah, I think
it's arrived.
Something there. Yeah, I could be reading into it too much, but I don't know. Every time I see it, I'm like, is he aware? Is he that? I don't want to say stupid that he thought that would be it. There's the gold back that we turned into a cross. There you go.
Maybe he thought he was going to save the others. Maybe he thought maybe this was his chance to do something noble.
Yeah, I think there could be something in that. Yeah.
You get the impression that he's a bit of a, got the spine of a jellyfish, just not, and you get the impression that that's maybe been a kind of generational thing. The Malone men are maybe a bit kind of ineffective and a bit insipid. We even get a wee hint at kind of how avoidant he is when John Carpenter's little cameo as the handyman says, "Oh, Father, can I get paid?" And he says, "Oh, better start at 6 tomorrow," or whatever. Just no acknowledgement of you need money. You're being paid for your services. Just actually, I'll reduce your working hours and hopefully, just you'll. Off you go away. You're not taking a whiskey, so off you go.
I think that's saying something interesting as well, because, obviously, the father finds the book, knows that the townsfolk has committed a crime, and they've covered it up, and now he feels guilty about it. And I think there's something to be said there. Maybe it's ahead of its time, but, with priests and stuff, there's been a lot of cover-ups of specific things over the years, and this is a cover-up by a man of God, I guess. And then I think it's interesting that it was to create the richness for the town, but yet the church can't afford to pay people that's working for it. When there's a gold cross sitting in the walls, I think there's just something there as well. And I think it's interesting that it's been changed into a gold cross, because I'm not really religious, so I don't want to get into it too much or get into religion too much, but so many people have a problem with the fact that the church has so much money, but yet there's so much lies that comes along with that as well. And I just thought that was a really interesting symbolism of the gold cross,
Definitely.
Yeah, giving that back to Blake, in the form of a cross.
Exactly.
Probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
We'll melt this down for you and we'll give it back to you in a couple of weeks,
and
then you can do what you want with
it. Have some doubloons.
And plus, didn't Jesus cure a leper at one point in the Bible?
Oh, I don't know.
He did. Leprosy, he cured a leper. Leper came into town, and then people were like, "Oh my God, a leper, get away." But I think Jesus went up, put his hands on him. I think he put his hands on him, and I think that cured him. So these priests should have went, well, if Jesus could, I don't want to say pity, but yeah, heal these people, help these people, then why can't we?
Yeah.
Father Malone, man, the Malones are not good.
He's the villain.
Villain.
The Malones are the villains.
And I think as well with the Father Malone, almost when he's taken at the end by Blake, when he's holding the cross, I think he's willing to like see the end basically, and it's not until Nick pulls him away that I think maybe that's why he thinks he deserves to be killed for the town's history basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I got from the end. And it's interesting because if you're right about the Jesus thing, that Jesus touched a leper or a man with leprosy and healed them. It's interesting then that Blake is holding on to the priest at the end with a cross in between them. So there might be some sort of symbolism there as well.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned Nick there as well. This is totally off the topic, but Nick, I didn't realise his full name in this is Nick Castle.
Nick Castle.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
And the mortuary worker is Dr. Phibes. Like, oh God, a Vincent Price character.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, is it? What was his name?
Dr. Phibes, so Phibes, I'm sure it is.
Was that maybe Witchfinder General, maybe?
No, I think it's like, let me think, right.
It's funny you saying that as well because we did Final Destination and all the characters in Final Destination are named after famous movie horror icons as well.
That's right.
Are they? I never clocked that.
Like one of the cops, for instance, is like I think his name's Shrek for like Max Shrek and different things like that.
Amazing.
So you can find them all. Yeah.
So it's The Abominable Dr. Phibes is a Vincent Price film.
Yeah, right. So it is.
So I like to think that Carpenter's just love. I don't know about you guys, but I'm an absolute slag for like those little Easter eggs. Like I love that kind of thing and spotting things and then telling my kids or telling my husband who are just like, awesome, yeah, like nobody is getting as excited about this stuff as you are.
Yeah, and Gary mentioned it earlier on about that theme of like the actors and things like that. Even though obviously he uses Dean Cundy in this film for cinematography, and it's kind of just showing you like if you've got a really good team of like cast and crew. I mean, these guys obviously went on and done like The Thing and things like that as well, and it's like. So it's just if you've got a strong body of talented people, then you can just keep reusing them all over the years.
It's a confidence, isn't it?
Yeah,
it gives you. It's like a stamp of kind of quality. It's like what's his name, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah,
reusing his cast, and it automatically tells you, well, this stuff's going to be great. I mean, it more often than not is. Yeah. Because he's got these people again, so it's just that kind of quiet confidence of, well, they're back, so we know this is going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that note, Charles, when he's playing Dan, do you know he really gives me Jack Nicholson in The Shining vibes, especially
the jumpers.
Well, it is, especially the scene where it's his death scene where the fog's rolling in behind him in the window and there's a light and he's on the phone, but he's so relaxed about it, but kind of aggressive. And it's really, he's in that white woolly jumper as well. And he's like, oh, some idiot's trying to scare me with a light outside or something. But he's trying to play it cool, but he's got this kind of manic look. And he's just, his voice as well gave me Jack Nicholson vibes. I don't know why. But yeah.
I think that's him because he's showing off because he's on the phone to
Stevie. Yeah, I love their little flirty things.
They are. It's great.
It's just so. I mean, her voice. Jesus Christ, I die for a voice as sexy as that. Like,
it's pretty epic, and it's like again, it goes back to that like of the time of the 80s, and it's like if you liked somebody, if you had a crush, you couldn't be using your phone and you had to pick up the phone.
Landline.
Like you can't wait to get. He came in. He wasn't even supposed to be in that night or something. He said.
That's right.
Just because he wants to pick up the phone and phone Stevie, you're like, man, guys, we fucked it. We fucked society. Yeah.
My kids can't believe that you had to run the gauntlet of getting past somebody's parents when you liked somebody, and you had to phone and say, "Is so and so there, please?" Like,
yeah.
Could you imagine? They just wouldn't. They wouldn't know what to do nowadays. They'd just be like, it's just the eyes.
Could we talk a little bit kind of about kind of the supernatural element and the story of it? Because the first kind of signs are like the bottles shaking in the shop, the cars kind of like moving, which kind of reminded me of like Christine as well. You've got the car horns going off, chairs moving, and this all kind of happens before the fog has rolled in. So what do you think causes that? Because it's quite funny because the scares have started happening and the opening credits are still rolling as well. But yeah, so like with all that kind of stuff moving before the fog comes in, do you think it's like, is it like cosmic horror? Is it from like are they in like another, like the men from the sea, like Blake's crew? Are they coming from like another dimension? Do you think? What do you think's going on there? Or am I overthinking it?
I think it comes from that brilliant start where we get the clasp of the pocket watch, and he says 5 minutes till midnight. You know, and then I think we've had maybe that story, and then it starts. Do you know, the witching hour type thing? Something supernatural is afoot, and we're now in the witching hour. Here it comes, and the town, it's its birth. And I think Stevie actually says that. She sort of says, you know, it's now midnight. Happy birthday, Antonio Bay. And then you've got like the petrol hose is going nuts, and the dogs are barking, and the alarms are going off. I think it's just a signal that actually something's been awoken, and it's going to cause havoc with the town.
It could be that sort of contrast as well, because I think you notice that when all that happens with the bottles and the car alarms going off, and the pump and all that, in comes Stevie's voice again. So it's that like chaos, Stevie's voice, chaos, Stevie. You're kind of going back and forth between these two bits, and it could just be as well. This might have been some of the stuff that they shot at the start, because when they edited it, we need to do something else. We need to add a bit more tension. That might have been stuff they added in there. So I don't know where it's came from. If this is just like Emma said, it's like the awakening. This is them rumbling up from their watery grave, and this is just the sort of remnants of it. And then the fog rolls in.
Yeah.
You mentioned it as well, Emma, that shot at the start with the pocket watch.
Yeah, it's a great shot. Great
shot.
Absolutely. It's so good. So good. I want to know what other stories he's got. He's bound to have a ton of ghost stories.
I think I watched an interview in the 4K, and I can't remember, like, I think that took a long time to get to that. I think, was he drunk or something? Or
better, I love it.
I can't remember exactly.
Like in Jaws again.
Like Quentin in Jaws. There was something where like, it took him a long time to be able to get there, like for whatever reason. But what I love as well after that is when the camera tilts up and it goes to black and then comes up, it keeps going, and then it's the shoreline.
Yeah, it's great.
You just see it, you're like, that is fantastic.
God, it's so perfect.
So good. And that shot's used again later on in the film, and it's just the shore. It's just like, it's just there. And you're like, I could look at this all day.
Yeah. It's like a screensaver, eh? You could just have it kind of floating.
And then you see the fog coming in. Sometimes you're a bit like, that looks a bit naff, but I'm all right with it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it does look naff, because they get away with it, because one of the characters, I can't remember who it is, it might be Stevie, but they say that the fog is glowing. So it's giving it this supernatural edge anyway to look at it. We could call it naff, but we don't understand it because it doesn't look quite right. Now, that could just be bad fog, like bad effects, but because that line is there, it could be anything that's in there that's making it look like that.
Yeah. I think they said a lot about the fog, because obviously, there was a couple of different techniques that they used, but they used a smoke machine. But I think one of the reasons they added in the sort of the glowing and things like that, because I think they said, well, a fog isn't a very good actor, doesn't do what it's told. So we need to add something in that we can maybe control with it.
Yeah.
And then I think there was some other sort of, I don't know the technicality of it, but something about having it and adding in the footage alongside. I don't know. This is way outside of my technical knowledge of this, but Gary might know. But
I don't. I've only seen it 3 times.
I've only seen it 3 times. And I didn't watch any interviews afterwards.
You've got the 4K, mate. You should know everything.
I'll give you a lane it, right? There you go.
just go back to like the bottles and the cars and things. The reason I think that's interesting is when we get to the scene with Elizabeth and Nick, after
Maybe it was them.
oh maybe yeah, just
Maybe.
rocking the town. But one of the crew comes by crew I mean fisherman crew, boat crew, not the casting crew. One of them comes to Nick's door, right? And it's quite this like tense scene as he goes to unlock the door. But then the glass clock smashes, and in a way, that saves Nick from being killed. So it's almost like the supernatural elements almost playing with them. It's toying with them. Because why does the crew member then disappear? Why doesn't he still come after Nick?
Is there not something about the time as well? Is that the clock strikes a certain time, and I'm sure that time is significant.
Is it? It's 12 o'clock, isn't it? 12. He says that it
I
starts.
think it's
12 o'clock.
after at midnight at that point. So this has all been
Maybe.
going on for a few minutes. So it could be that actually when all they're not
They only
they
come
lose
out for
their
an hour,
powers.
almost.
You've got 5 minutes to go
Yeah.
mental, and then that's you getting.
It's like it's what's that? It's like the Purge.
Yeah.
That's it.
Stevie's like, right, enough, get it stopped.
I always find it quite funny when Tom Atkins does get up and he goes to the door, and you kind of see like the outline, the silhouette of the ghost, and then I think it's when he gets closer, and I think it's the smash. The way the ghost tracks back.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm going.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. And also, that door looks like it's made of paper.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm sure it's some kind of beautiful kind of oriental design or whatever,
Yeah.
but it does. It just looks like actually who could come through that, no bother at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Aye.
Do you think as well the kind of supernatural being like releases the book for Father Malone to see? Because he's like Bennett leaves, John Carpenter leaves, the father gets up to leave, and then like the wall just caves in and it's there. So do you think that's part of the supernatural? Do you think it's like saying, here's a hint of why we're coming, or like to try and save yourselves? Is it leaving clues, or did the wall just collapse coincidentally at the same time that they were going to arrive? What do you think?
Do you think it happened with the? This is running at the same time as obviously all the bottles and stuff. So you think it's just like a remnant, like a quake of that?
That's what I thought. Yeah,
That's
maybe.
what you're thinking, yeah. And it's just sort of because when you first see it, you're like, "Oh, that's coincidental how that brick just flew out of the wall to show the journal." You're like, "Hmm." But yeah, what do you think, Emma?
I think maybe there's some spooky stuff going on. I think maybe there's been some. I mean that whole thing I think is supernatural and that it's causing the chaos. So yeah, I think there's an unearthing that comes from that. But I mean it is also San Francisco, isn't it? So there are earthquakes and things, isn't there?
Yeah.
Or California.
Yeah.
So they maybe, maybe put it down to that kind of thing. As in the townspeople could maybe put it down to that kind of thing.
Yeah. And Gary, you did say something there about. Do you think maybe the what did you say toying? Was that what you said? Or
Yeah, because like
it could be.
it's like here's a clue. Best of luck when we come and get you.
Aye, we're on our way.
And then it's like toying with Nick when like the clock smashes, then the ghost disappears. It's kind of the same when Dick Baxter gets back up and stumbles towards Elizabeth and then just collapses again. Like it's like what is going on there? Like he's the only person
Yeah.
that seems to reanimate. No one else does.
Yeah.
There's kind of strange going on. It's if they've just been menacing when they're not trying to kill.
Yeah, because I think they're there for revenge, but maybe it's sort of they were lured in by false promises. They had hope. They had we're going to be okay. This is going to pan out for us, and that was taken away from them. So maybe it's just sort of they're way of trying to reenact that toying. We're giving them slight warnings. We are making them think something's wrong, and then they'll go back to feeling like we're okay
Mm-hmm.
when actually they're not. Maybe it's just trying to do that to them.
I wondered as well because my understanding is, and I can't quite remember where I've got this from, is that the 6 that they are after are descendants of the 6 original conspirators.
Maybe, yeah.
So maybe the guy kind of reanimating it, like you're saying, Gary, is a way for Elizabeth to get out of there.
Because she's not from the town, right, either.
Yeah, she's an outsider, as is Stevie. But then I guess that I'm contradicting myself, because actually it does come for her at the end. Like she is pursued. So I mean, I've read before that there are some kind of plot holes. That is a criticism that I've read before, is that there are some kind of plot holes and stuff. But anything that's criticising it, I'm not going to keep reading. So I'm not engaging with it.
Yeah,
Didn't happen.
I don't even know if it's a plot hole, like, because, you know, that's a great thing when you're doing horror that is supernatural or it's not like Earth-like, because we don't need to understand it all. That's what makes it scary or freaky.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You can take that right back to Halloween if you want, where, you know, what is the shape? Like, is he human or not? When it gets at the end, that's
definitely.
You know, if you explain too much, it becomes
loses its power, doesn't it?
Yeah. When the fog first comes in, I do love the fisherman's response to it, because they hear Stevie saying it, there's a fog bank, and then the guy looks out the window. Every time I've watched it, it's got me, and he's like, there's no fog bank out there.
There's a fog bank.
Yeah, hey, there's a fog bank out there. It's
I
such
love
a funny line.
It's so good, because, like, you know, she is telling the truth. I mean, and then you've got these men who are out on the boat, and they're drinking, and they're talking about the way she looks, and kind of like, you know, kind of questioning her credibility, and sort of saying, you know, she's crazy. There's no fog bank, and then we've got that fog bank. That's become like a total vocal stim in our house as well. I introduced this to my eldest daughter and my youngest this summer, and I didn't think they were going to enjoy it, but they loved it. But we constantly are going around the house being like, "There's a fog bank." So sorry,
That's brilliant. Because it wasn't they said that they're not sitting there and they're having a beer, and then like he's obviously looking out the window, and then they not say something like, I saw her once.
I'd love to see her, and the young guy's like, "You, I saw her in the store. You would love to see her."
You love to see her. But that made me think. I'm like, why would you not see her? The town's tiny. You would see her. Everybody would see her.
He's on his boat all the time. He's an old salty sea dog.
Yeah. And maybe
I suppose there's that.
Maybe because it's not like now with like the internet and stuff, right? Maybe he does see her, but doesn't realise it's her. Because he hears her on the radio, and then could walk past her every day.
No idea.
And her voice is different. She knows when to change her voice up as well. You know, we've got the super sexy, we've got the normal kind of chat that she has when she tells her son he's a pain in the neck. And then we've got the kind of the panicked broadcast that she does as the kind of actions happening as well. So maybe if he's not hearing her voice or hearing her normal voice, he's not kind of clocking that it's her.
Yeah, we see that. We see a great example of that when she's starting to figure this stuff out. She's getting hyped up. She's getting scared, and then she has to start the broadcast. And you see her sitting for a good, probably a good maybe 20 seconds where she collects herself, and she goes right, and then she takes a breath, and then puts on the voice, and then I think she cuts again and goes back, and she feels that weight of what's happening. Like she's switching characters. It's really.
She's so good, and she looks so bloody amazing in this film as well.
Yeah, she does. Have you got a picture of her on your house anywhere?
No, I don't. I don't actually, but I don't have any fog stuff yet. So I have, within both the studio and the house, I have lots of kind of horror artwork and stuff like that. But the fog is something that I've not managed to find the right thing.
Got it.
So I need to go on a quest. Like, I don't even have a fog t-shirt. I'm having to wear the Thing t-shirt today instead.
Yeah, I was thinking that either. I've not got a fog t-shirt. I should definitely get one.
Well, there's a great horror tee company, if I'm allowed to say it,
Yeah,
Filmhead Threads. They're really, really
Oh, yeah,
great,
yeah.
really beautiful, lovely Lena Frankenstein. That she does a lot with them. This is one of their t-shirts, and I tagged them today to say that I was talking the Fog wearing the Thing with the horror cut, and I was like, please make a the Fog t-shirt. So maybe
hopefully. Just talking about the fog there again. When the fog comes in and we first see the ghosts, and John Carpenter does this great thing, or the editor does, I should say, where they hold on them just a little too long, and it's just them silhouetted with the fog behind them, and it is a great shot. It would look great on a t-shirt, actually. That's what was made me think of it. But the camera holds a little too long, where it's just uneasy. They're not moving. The fishermen who have spotted them aren't moving, and then they just attack. And
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
letting the film breathe, to
I
make
think,
us feel
yeah.
uncomfortable.
And that's something I think you get a lot in this film is stillness, and I think even with the camera movements a lot of the time as well, or sorry, the lack of movement sometimes, and letting it breathe. You don't really, yeah, it happens, still happens today, but it, back in the day, this was like everyone done this because it made more sense, and it made more sense for the story, for the language of film, rather than it being right, just quickly get to the next thing, get to the next thing, get to the next thing. And I think that's why we love these classic horror films, because they're laced with that. They're laced with stillness, and that is what's going to create the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. It's just that kind of taking its time with something. I'm just thinking of like, and it's not that I don't enjoy this, but like, things like the 2017 It remake, and you've got Pennywise, and his scare seems to be slow, 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 fast, and the attack. Like, there's nothing like that in this. It is just, as you're saying, it's just that slowness. Will take a minute. We're just going to let this scare sit with you. We're not telling you how to feel. It's just here, and
Yeah.
you're going to take from this. You're going to be unsettled by by the
Yeah.
quietness of this.
And there's a sort of, I think it's with the first sort of kill that we see in the boat. It's really silent as well. There's not a lot of a score. There's some parts, there's a little bit, but then I think when one of the is it when the guy who goes downstairs, when he gets it, he doesn't know everyone else is dead. I think it's when he gets it, kind of the ghost comes up behind him and just there's like a sound that comes out of that. It's like I'm not even going to try and do it, but it's not something that looks like a bang, but
No,
it's
it's
like
like
a
a
quick
stinging noise,
volume
isn't
up.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
Carpenter and his music, though.
Yeah, I was
There
going to
was,
say,
yeah.
go, Stephen, you go.
Apparently, he had to work on the score because again, once they edited everything, he says the score needs more work as well on this. And that was then sort of it was done again basically, which would have been interesting to see what was it like before they did these reshoots,
Yeah.
rescore as well. It'd be really interesting to know what that was like.
Have either of you seen him live?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, when was it?
It was in Edinburgh, and it must have been about 2016. I
Yeah,
think it would have been about that.
I was wanting to go, and I just had my youngest.
Oh man,
Bloody kids.
bloody kids, bloody kids. I seen Goblin as well, maybe a year before it at the Oran Moor.
Oh my
God, it
God.
was
So a
sleeping empty.
tiny venue. Oh, that must have been amazing.
Brilliant.
Sorry, that's
Absolutely brilliant.
That's good.
love it.
Gary's like,
That's good.
that's good.
I'm so sorry. Please edit all this out because
No,
it's
no.
like Emma around the house is Arneil. Like, it's unreal.
It's great when we go off in tangents. I love it. I love it. I've kind of lost whose point we're on, but if any's got any other points or notes that you want to jump in with, anything that you feel we haven't covered?
Why? Okay, so why do we think it's not? I mean, it's why do we think some people might say it's not up there with Halloween, it's not up there with The Thing, it's not up there with Escape from New York and all that kind of stuff? Like, do you feel like there's something missing from it, or do you think it's?
I would say, I think, okay, because watching it, I was like, is this a true horror film, right? And by me saying that, I'm not saying if it's not a good film, right? Because it doesn't really start with a cold open. It starts with a ghost story, and the film feels like a ghost story. It feels like, rather than like sit down with your kids to watch this, you could tell them the story of the fog, and it'd be quite exciting to do that, right? So it doesn't start with like a scary cold open, which most horror films do. Even Halloween does that. And then, other than like the kind of the town going crazy with the bottles, the car horns, and things like that, it's a good 30 minutes before the fog rolls in with the ghosts. So you're left for like a good 30 minutes just getting to know the town, getting to know the characters, and then the kind of chaos starts in the second half. So maybe that's again why, when Carpenter got to the edit suite, he was like, we need to do these reshoots, we need something else a little bit scary with the cars and the shop, etc. Um, so maybe that's why. Maybe it feels more like a ghost story than a true horror movie in this sense, because it's not horrific. And to me, when somebody says to me, "What makes a horror movie?" I'm like, it needs to be horrific in some way, And by horrific, I don't mean gore and stuff like that, but you need to feel a certain unease, I think, when you watch a horror film. And I don't feel uneasy when I watch this. I feel comforting. So maybe that's my 2 cents on it.
That's it's not a bad way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to acknowledge why it wasn't, when people just kind of criticize it, because I just think it's great, but I can absolutely understand that it perhaps doesn't have the impact that maybe something like Halloween and all his other works have. And maybe it doesn't even have like the kind of the bigger set pieces that those films have. Maybe that's the kind of the thing that people were wanting to kind of latch on to. But I mean, we've just spoken about it for sort of an hour and 20 minutes, and I just think that's testament to just how beautiful and powerful it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say something regarding the sort of third act and that last scene in the church, and I quite like that. That's what we're building up to. We're building up to that last showdown, and that last showdown really only happens for probably less than 10 minutes, and I actually quite like that, because when a film unravels and you get the last half hour where it's it's like, yeah, it's like when you're watching it like and a film with a possession, you've got the windows getting caved in and then the lights, and this is now it's now like an action film that I don't need to watch. I like how everything's spent getting you there, and then it's just a nice sort of crescendo at the end. I'm happy with that. I like that, but I think what maybe some people don't like is that the build up is quite small and anticlimactic in a sense. But that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the ending, and it does cut away to Stevie trying to fight for her life in the lighthouse as well. So there's almost 2 set pieces there as well. But the two of them are so dark that I think people might get confused to what's maybe happening a little bit, but maybe.
Yeah.
I've got one other note to do with the ending, and I love how it's just so cool, right? And I wonder if it was improvised or if it was in the script. But once they've beaten the bad guys, so to speak, and they all step outside and they watch the fog disappear, it's in a wide shot, but you just see Nick Castle just take out a cigarette as he's watching it, and he just looks so cool. We don't see him light it, but he's just got there his cigarette packet, watching the fog leave. He just puts a cigarette in his mouth as if that was a piece of cake. It's so good, but it's not exactly. It's not done in like a wide shot or anything. Sorry, it's not done in a close up. It's just in a wide shot, so it's quite subtle. But yeah, just notice somebody's cigarette.
Totally natural for the 80s as well, for someone just to spark up after sex or after fighting off 100-year-old ghosts. Yeah.
What other thing actually is, where do you think it fits in a timeline, right? Because 100 years ago, there was murder and they were robbed, and then 100 years later, the present day stuff in the film is what we watch. But Nick Castle gives a kind of little monologue about something that his dad's seen and ended up on a ship and ended up taking the gold coin. And when he went to give him the gold coin, it was gone. Same with the wood being a gold coin and then
Yeah.
changing. But if there were, it made me think this isn't the first time maybe that the Ghost Crew have invaded the town, because if it happened to his dad, like when does that happen? You know, so maybe this isn't the first time that the fishermen kind of Ghost Crew have came to the
Or
coast.
maybe they haunt the water.
Maybe, yeah, yeah. And that's what the other thing is. When it happened 100 years ago and the fog came in, was that a supernatural fog? Because they say after the crash, the fog just left as if it was a help from God. But he says in the diary, but we both know that it wasn't God that did it. But then it made me go, well, what was that fog that came in just at the right time for them to crash and then left straight after it? Was that supernatural as well, or was it something else? You know, so there's still these little. Maybe that's a plot hole, but there's these little bits. It's like it keeps the mind ticking and wondering.
I like that we're still thinking about it. You know, like the film's like, what, 46 years old and we're still.
Wow.
Still
What
talking
is?
about it. And I know we're running kind of short on time here, but let's talk about the remake.
No.
What did we think? Did we go see it in the cinema? What did we think?
When did it come out? 2005, 2006 or something?
I remember Shannon from Lost. I can't remember the actor's name, but Shannon from Lost played Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
I'm lost. Is that Lily? She's
No,
in? No.
Maggie Grace?
that's it. Maggie Grace played. She was the blonde. She was Boone's sister.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So
And it's the chap from Smallville as well, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Joe, I only seen it the once and I saw it on DVD, probably, I don't know, 2007, 2008 or something. I don't recall lots of it. I just remember it being like, that was...
Yeah.
It was kind of typical of the time. I think I just was like, okay, I'd rather just watch the original. But what about you?
Totally.
You, Gary, you thought you liked it, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I thought it was. I didn't. I seen it first before I
No,
seen the
that's just
original, and I didn't enjoy it. But it made me then want to go and watch the original. And then I think maybe that's why maybe I wasn't that impressed with the original either, because I don't know. I think because I was so disappointed with the remake that I thought, oh, this to get a remake, this film must have been phenomenal. And then I thought it was really slow the first time I watched it, but obviously since repeat viewing, I've got to enjoy it more. What I did like about it though was Maggie Grace's character is originally from the town. She wasn't just hitchhiking as a stranger, which meant when she got into the car with Nick Castle's character, I don't even know if he's still called Nick Castle, but you know, the Smallville's car, they already knew each other, which meant it was easier to understand their relationship. So by making her someone that left the town years ago and is on her way back, it felt more believable that maybe more in a contemporary setting that these two would get together and stuff like that. So there was a little bit more done with the characters that I'll give it credit
Okay.
for. But other than that, I was still quite meh. And everything felt so contemporary and shiny. Like all the
Shiny. That's a word I remember from it, actually, yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
all the boats are obviously all the boats are modern because it's a modern film, but it just doesn't have that grungy, gritty, atmospheric feel to it. You know.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We totally forgot to mention this, but we actually do see the ship, the Elizabeth Dane, on that when it comes in, which is really, really creepy. And I always forget you see it. You do, and the guys are looking up at it and being like, "Are we seeing this?"
Mhm.
Which kind of then you see that it's it's rusted. It looks terrible, and that then sort of filters into when the bodies get found and the guys are on the ship and they're going, "This is rusty. What's happened? Like, what? I don't get this. How can this be?" And then they have that sit down with Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee have that sit down, followed by the Dan's character coming out the locker, And then it goes into more of it, and I wish there was a bit more of this in the film, where when the doctor, the coroner, whatever, he's saying like, this guy's been underwater for like a month. Like, no, he hasn't. He was below deck, and you're kind of like that mystery side of things. I wish that there was a little bit more of it. I love that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I kind of like it being like, but I kind of like
Just
it
that.
being a mystery, and you kind of wonder why, because the boat never goes down. But even if the crew comes onto the boat, like, is it because they're below, so it's almost
Kind of infects the
Yeah,
boat.
it's kind of
Yeah.
infection,
Yeah.
like a zombie.
Emma, I didn't tell you about this part, but I have 5 quiz questions on the film, and I feel like you're going to get 5 out of 5 for it.
Oh, I don't know.
Here goes. What is the name of the coastal town where the film takes place?
Antonio Bay.
Yes. What is the name of the ship whose crew were betrayed 100 years earlier?
It's the Elizabeth Dane.
Nice. Who tells the children the story of the shipwreck at the beginning of the film?
It is Mr. Masher. How do you say it? Played by John Houseman.
Yes, Mr. Mackin, maybe?
Mackin.
Yeah.
Mackin.
When was the film released?
1980.
Yes. And who is the last person to be killed?
It is Father Malone.
It is. Yes, right. Well done. 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm buzzing.
Peg, what
Yes.
would you rate The Fog out of 5?
I'm going to give it a. Oh, it's a tough one. It's either between a 4 and a 4.5 for me, because I do love it.
Emma?
4.5.
I'm going to give it a 5. As long as that's allowed. It's not.
Absolutely.
It's just I love it so much.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it. I'm really sorry. To me right now, maybe I need to give it more watches, but to me, I think maybe 3.5 out of 5 gold coins.
That's pretty good going, though.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
I
3.5.
mean, yeah. What's that as an average? I only teach early years, so maths is not my thing.
Like 4.2.
Yeah,
that's pretty good going.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
This is the point where we give a creative recommendation. So my creative recommendation is, we kind of mentioned this slightly at the start, but Silence of the Lambs is going to the theatre and is playing at the Theatre Royal at the end of the month. So I'm going to go and try and see that. I'm a huge fan of the film. I guess I'm quite a big fan of the franchise, so read the books, etc. as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the stage adaptation. So that is my creative recommendation. Emma, what's your creative recommendation?
So I don't want to say his name or say the film, but it's a response to that. So it's really just to go see as much indie horror as you can and to support indie artists and, you know, small movies, especially women or LGBT backed projects, because, you know, we're in the process of being kind of confronted with really crappy people making really crappy films. So please, where you can, support indie and small projects. So I'm just thinking of things like Undertone and Obsession, just off the top of my head from this year. You know, just support where you can, especially just now. In Scotland, we've got the Edinburgh International Film Festival, we've got the Book Festival, we've got the Fringe. Just support indie where you can.
Great. And as indie filmmakers, I stand by that as well, and we need more support. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Stephen, what is your creative recommendation?
I started watching a TV show last night, Japanese TV show called The Human Vapor.
Okay.
And me and Hallie, who I'm staying with, were just flicking through Netflix, and she checked the trailer and she was like, "This looks pretty good." I was like, "I stick it on." So I'm 2 episodes in, and it's pretty damn good. It's pretty good.
Awesome. Writing that down.
Vapor. Strange name for a TV show, but strange name for anything, but it's actually quite good.
I've heard good things. I've not started it yet, but I've heard good things about Widow's Bay as well. So
I'm halfway through it. Another quaint little seaside town under
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, I've heard that it gives strong Jaws vibes, which for me is like total seal of approval.
nice. Well, Emma, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have had the best bloody time, and thank you for being so patient with me and all my rambles. So thank you so much for having me, guys. I've been so looking forward to this, and it was an absolute joy and pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, and we enjoy rambles.
Thank you for coming on.
Can you let our listeners know where they can keep up to date with you and your podcast, and maybe what episodes are coming out if you want?
So I'm really excited. I've got an episode out that's just been released with the fantastic Katie Evans of Mental Health Monsters, where we talk about the Lost Boys, and she was, oh my God. I mean, I tried not to fangirl, but I think I failed miserably. She was utterly captivating. And in the next episode is going to be all about reproductive horror. And that was with the fantastic Christina Brennan. I've had some amazing women on the show, and you can get all 3 seasons everywhere where you get your podcasts. And please do come along and say hello on Instagram, which is the Horror and Her podcast. I am chronically online there, so please do come and say hello. Yeah, that's where you can, and also you can find me on At the Movies in the 90s. If horror is not your thing, but 90s movies are, then I'm over there as well as a co-host.
And did you remember your favourite 90s film?
I actually can't. That is shocking. What the hell is wrong with me? Can I say Candyman then? Just to keep it as that, right?
Absolutely, you can.
Absolutely, yeah. I think mine might be maybe Terminator 2.
Fuck's sake, yes. Jesus Christ. See, Terminator 2, oh my God. Did you see it before the original Terminator?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, same here. My dad introduced me to it.
Yeah. Terminator would be a good horror one to do, like to review, because it's basically a slasher film, right?
Totally.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. I'm still Gary.
I'm still Steg.
And if you're liking what you're hearing, then leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can follow the show at The Horror Cut Show on Facebook and Instagram. We are on TikTok, but I need to get better at TikToking. Is that like tweeting? Yeah, we'll call it that. Yes, if this podcast is out in time, please join us at the West Brewery on Sunday, the 30th of August, where we'll be having a Final Girls Glasgow takeover. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
We're friends to the end, remember?
This is the end, friend.